Humankind Cultures of Africa pack at a fairly reasonable price with a lot of content, releases on the 20th of January of this year. These are the 6 new cultures that are included in the DLC pack. You can see them flashing across your screen right now, and also some other new gameplay features. I've covered them briefly in an earlier video. You can find that on my channel, but in this one we're going to take a deep dive into the things that you may have missed in the trailers. I've got screenshots to share and also some information to share as well that you may have probably missed. But first, a quick shameless shout out. Do subscribe for more Humankind content, and if you wouldn't mind giving the video a like, I would really appreciate it. But if you hate it, don't bother. Let's jump straight in, and firstly, I want to talk about Bantu in the ancient era. We got actually some information about them. You can see +2 influence per the number of adjacent empires on their territory is their trait. They also appear to be a nomadic people, and have a relatively weak scouting unit. I'm going to show you some screenshots of every culture as we move through, taken from the trailer, so forgive the quality in some of them is not the best, but I'm also going to be relaying some information about each culture as we go. What you need to know about Bantu is basically already described, except they are an expansionist. Very important to note, the only new expansionist being introduced in this pack. Next up, we have the Garamantes in the classical era. These are going to be an agrarian culture, the first of quite a few. Here you can see their unique district at play next to this lake, in what is otherwise a really nice looking city. The Garmantes are an agrarian culture, as I say, and they are known for their growth and expansion resting on their extensive irrigation systems, so we should expect those to play out. You can see them on the right if you look carefully in that screenshot. Probably. Again, this is speculatory. Next up we have Swahili in the medieval era. Swahili are going to be a merchant culture in Humankind, the only merchant culture added in Humankind's Cultures of Africa DLC pack. Historically, the Swahili were known for their coastal city-states, and also for their extensive trade networks. And if you take a look at, again, apologies for the poor quality, the screenshots here of the Swahili taken from the trailer, you can see it looks like they've got a unique harbour. Smack bang in the middle of the screen there is a white harbour like no other. You can see some other interesting districts as well. I think we can see they're unique in the centre middle of the screen, and that's likely just a holy site over on the right-hand side, I suspect. But either way, we can accept probably that we're going to get a unique harbour out of this coastal merchant civ. Moving through, just quickly to take a break from the cultures, I wanted to remind you that we did see one of the 15 new events coming to Humankind in the Cultures of Africa pack. They also made a specific point about these events that I think might make them more interesting or maybe more impactful than some of the existing ones. And while it doesn't have anything to do with the options, I would just like to quickly zoom in on the options here. You can't read them, but basically all of them require or offer the chance of triggering another narrative event. And the key thing about these new events that was made specific mention in the trailer is that they're likely to span multiple eras, or at least many of them will. This will make them more impactful across the game, potentially leading to further chaos, which I like. Let's go back to cultures now and talk Maasai in the early modern era. The Maasai are the second agrarian culture coming in this culture pack. Historically, they are known as fierce pastoralist people, speaking their own language, and really being also known for their sort of fierce warriors, if you will. Take a look at what their civilization looks like, and it looks really fascinating. I'd like to hear your thoughts on what you think might be going on here. Is this their unique district? Is this simply their agrarian quarters? Is this the way their districts look? Are they nomadic? I'm not sure, but what we should probably expect out of them is both an agrarian culture that also likely has a very powerful unit, given the militarist sort of undertone to their fierceness and the fact that Amplitude really values history. Next up, we have the Ethiopians in the industrial era, one that I know we were talking about in the members' Discord, many of you are excited about. The Ethiopians are going to be a militarist culture. The only militarist culture in this pack as well, being introduced in an era that is already laden with very powerful civs. This is era number 5, the industrial era. Don't forget, this is where the French lay. Here's their unique district. It was highlighted specifically in the trailer, so we know it to be this, built on the hill here. What else do we know about Ethiopia? Well, we know that historically Ethiopia was one of the only sovereign states in the African continent to fight off, for the most part, the long-term impacts of colonization. Interesting to see how this militarist will play out. I'll be sure to cover it when we find out more. Next, we have the Nigerians. In the contemporary era, they are the last culture to be added to humankind. 6 out of 6. The Nigerians, like the Maasai and the Garamantes who followed them in eras 2 and 4, are an agrarian culture. Historically, and of course in the contemporary era, we know that they are famed for bringing a wide variety of cultures in the rule of one state. Also an abundance of hydraulic resources. Here, again in the screenshot here, you can see a focus on what looks to be a very interesting unique district, potentially harbour generating, or maybe a seawall. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out more. Here's some other shots of a few other things that I want to address before I cover some potential controversy that's arisen and some discussion posts on the forums. But here, firstly, on a more positive note, you can see likely the Mosque of Djinn playing out here in practice, the one new constructible wonder added into the game. Of course, we have 4 new natural wonders as well, from Kilimanjaro to Victoria Falls, and an impressive bright red lake, as well as Zuma Rock. Here you can see a screenshot that I think summarizes what a modern city or districts might look like, and some new wonder action potentially as well. Now let's talk about how this DLC will impact the game, and I wanted to highlight these comments. Very disappointed to see DLC sold before many outstanding issues are fixed. Fair enough if you believe that way. We're going to discuss the timing of this DLC pack now as you watch the full trailer play out. We're also going to quickly discuss on why adding 6 new cultures could drastically change the game. First and foremost, let's touch on that controversy. I think that's fair enough, and your frustrations may very well be valid. My opinion is generally, why not both, though? I think we can do both. I'll leave it there. Let's talk now about why adding 6 cultures to Humankind, I believe, could have tremendous effects on playability moving forward. Why? Well, because now we move from having 10 choices in every era to 11. No longer is it theoretically possible for you to have no options. You will at least have 2, but in most scenarios you're probably moving from having 4 options to 5, 5 options to 6, but more importantly, it also opens up more of a certain type. You go from having 1 agrarian choice to having 2. And that diversity of play shouldn't be understated. All of it is wrapped up, as I covered at the start of the video, at a price point that I personally think is relatively palatable. It must be at the 10% pre-order discount, around $7 or $8 US. Seems like a small price to pay for what is likely to be one piece of Humankind's future story. And I personally think that the story seems to be shaping up pretty good. And Ethiopia and Bantu and all of these African cultures seem like a great place to start. I'll see you next time.